Welcome to study session 10, Building Blocks in News Writing. Introduction. By now, you should be able to write news stories with appropriate lead that contains the north graph. Yet, your story may not be good enough if you fail to observe some basic principles of news writing. These principles are otherwise called the building blocks. In this study session, we shall discuss these building blocks. Learning outcomes. After you have studied this study session, you should be able to 1. Present the basic building blocks in news writing. 2. Apply the principles building blocks in your news writing exercise. The building blocks. Building blocks in news writing are those qualities or requirements that constitute a good news story. They are ingredients, materials, and characteristics that are combined to have a good news story. These building blocks prerequisites that a good reporter must always remember and follow religiously as his basic 10 commandments if he must write a good news story. The building blocks are 1. Accuracy. Accuracy means that the reporter must be very accurate and precise in this presentation. Word must be correctly spelled. The correct initial must be used in names. Names of person, places, or things must not be wrongly spelled. Addresses, places, dates, time, etc. must be correctly quoted. Pages, figures, and other facts must be checked and double-checked before publishing the story. A good reporter ensures accuracy by giving painstaking attention to every fact and figure. One of the golden rules of journalism is, if you don't know or you are not sure, leave out. In some nations, like America, many libel suits come as a result of reporters' carelessness. However, reporters are no angels. Thus, if there is any error, the reporter must acknowledge his fault and promptly write a correction or a rejoinder. This is ethical. Many newspapers have special pages for correction. Broadcast stations too also correct their faults. 2. Attribution. Attribution means acknowledging the sources of a piece of information the reporter gives to the public. In news writing, it is ethical that all information, except the most obvious, very glaring, and the personality observed ones, must be attributed. Events do not just happen. People or certain agents make them. The reporter must not present the facts of the story as if he manufactured them himself. Attribution demands that actions are credited to actors while statements are credited to speakers. Quotations and paraphrase statements must be attributed. Rich 2010. 3. Background. Background is the additional material, facts or information that a reporter on earth digs up on his or her own to enable the reader or listener have better understanding of the story. Background moves the reader or listener closer to the truth. Background material are not really from the story being reported. They come from the reporter's personal knowledge and other secondary sources such as clippings, reference books, or proximate events. Background is used to activate listener's memory. It provides relevant information, materials that usually serve as reference or antecedent to the story being reported. It serves as a flashback to shed more light on the news story. A reporter or presenter can introduce background by clause phrases such as, "It will be recalled that 2 weeks ago." It will be interesting to know that. 4. Balance. Balance requires that all persons involved in the story that has some elements of controversy must be given the chance to be heard or read. In a political campaign, All candidates must be given space or airtime to present their own point. In a case of allegation, where Mr. X accuses Mr. Y and the reporter covers the allegation, it is mandatory for the reporter to get a response from the accused. It is not a balanced story if he writes only the allegation without making any effort to get the side of the accused. However, if the accused refuses to give his own comment, the reporter should let this reflect in his or her report. If after a series of attempts the reporter cannot reach the accused, he should include this in his report as well. 5. Fairness. Fairness means that all parties or sides to an issue or event are treated equally without any element of favor or disfavor. Another element of fairness is honest use of words. The reporter or presenter must be mindful of his choice of words. He must not use any negative or praising adjective, Agbese 2008, to qualify anybody, either to discredit or eulogize the person. He must not introduce personal bias, hatred, or affection. He must not judge, praise, condemn, or discredit. His duty is to present the story as it is. The readers, listeners are in the best position to judge. 6. Relevance. The reporter or presenter must make sure that only information or materials such as quotes, illustration, anecdote, date, and figure that are relevant to the news story are included in the story. Extraneous materials must not be included. To ensure relevance, the reporter must be precise, simple, and clear in his report. He does not write to impress, but to inform or enlighten. He does not write to confuse or complicate issues, but to clarify. Thus, materials that are not relevant to the story must not be included in the news story. Keys to good news story writing. Besides the building blocks that we discussed above, there are a number of techniques that reporters must follow in order to write good news stories. Some of those techniques are as identified by Mencha 1998, Agbese 2008, and Rich 2010 are enumerated as follows. 1. Begin to write only after you know what you want to say or tell the reader. This means that you must not identify the knot graph before you begin to write your story. Write the way you talk. Use action verb. They bring your story alive. Keep sentence short and clear. Keep your paragraph short. Write in block paragraphing. Show, don't tell. Use words that conjure clear pictures in the reader's mind. Avoid adjectives, adverbs, except when it becomes extremely imperative for you to use them. Use good quotes. Use words you are familiar with if you doubt the meaning of certain words. Don't use them. If a word looks confusing to you, it is likely to confuse the readers as well. Use the SVO structure for most sentences. Be neutral. Do not involve yourself in the story. Compose your lead in the active voice, except when your story is about crimes or court cases. Never turn in a story you think you can improve. Study session summary. In this study session, you learned that fairness, balance, accuracy, background, attributions, and relevance are the building blocks in news writing. They serve as the guides and principles that reporters need to write good news story. As reporters, you must always observe these principles so that your story will be credible and free from bias. End of study session 10. Thanks for listening.